Have you ever just woke up, started to go through your morning routine, and you just realized, oh, it's gonna be one of them days? I don't have it all today. So today, what we're gonna talk about is brain fog and what you can do so you can make sure this happens to you less overall, point blank period.
Hey guys, my name is Michelle,
Anita,
Sarah, Julia,
Peyton,
Talia,
Jazz,
Marquita.
I'm a physique.
Product.
Period. You love to see.
You already know what this is. It is Trehunna from the Secret Set. And one of the worst things somebody can deal with is brain fog during the day where they have a test or they have something important to tend to that day. So what we're gonna go over is all the main things that could cause you to have brain fog and what you need to avoid so this happens to you less. What causes brain fog in the first place? There is two certain things that could cause brain fog on average. Other than stress, other than sleep, it's going to be a postprandial glucose response, or it's going to be a postprandial inflammation response.
Trey, what does that mean?
We're eating a lot of things that our body really doesn't require. So a lot of people eat a lot of refined carbohydrates. What is a refined carbohydrate? It is so processed to the point where it's not even food anymore. It is considered an item or it's considered a product. Just to give you an idea, when your body consumes a refined carbohydrate, you ever had those Listerine breath strips before? And you put it on your tongue and it just disintegrates. It just poof, be gone. Yet every single breath strip has calories. When you are eating a refined carbohydrate, it takes your body literally 90% less of the work for it to break down opposed to real food, such as you give it something like fiber, you give it an apple, you give it a broccoli, you give it a steak. It takes way less time for it to break down. But because it takes way less time for your body to break it down, now the sugar is being released to the bloodstream faster than your body can ever anticipate. When that happens, especially when it's a refined carbohydrate, and we already know that carbohydrates breaks down to glucose, there is so much sugar in the bloodstream now that your body has to do something. Now your brain naturally wants to run off glucose, but keep in mind, your body only needs about 1 teaspoon of sugar at a time. If you look at this label and you see any label that got 4 grams of carbs in it or 4 grams of sugar to it, that's how much sugar is circulating in your bloodstream at a time. 1 teaspoon is equivalent to 4 carbohydrates, right? But now when you look at that fruit snack, now when you look at your Starbucks and you see it got 40 grams of sugar, instead of your body getting 1 teaspoon, it's getting 10. This amount of sugar is so toxic to the body that your body is gonna drive this sugar levels down. But what it costs. Now your body starts to get hypoglycemic and now your brain is not getting enough energy to do the activities that you needed to do. So the first tip that you can do to make sure that you have less brain fog, have less processed foods, period. You want to have more foods that comes from the earth. And I know y'all getting tired of me saying this, y'all, but it's really that simple. This is the first generation in human history where we can get food with a press of a button. This is the only time in human history where we have a whole lot of snacks. And 78% of a grocery store nowadays is composed of ultra processed food. It is something that somebody created in a laboratory somewhere and now it's on the shelf. Which means,
hey, in order for it to be edible when you choose to eat it, we gotta add emulsifiers, preservatives, additives, all these things where your gut microbiome or your body doesn't even recognize.
Cut out a lot of the processed foods because they're adding ingredients in it that's gonna drive your glucose levels up. Your body's gonna naturally drive it down. And now you're starting to get a little bit tired or you start to get a little bit sluggish. The other chapter to it is going to be postprandial inflammation response. What does that mean? When you give your body protein, your body's able to break it down, right? If you give your body too much carbs, then it's going to cause a lot of issues for the foreseeable future. But now when you give your body a lot of fat, just in general, that is very taxing to your body, just in general. That's why a high fat diet on average is not as great, especially if it's coming from omega-6s, such as seed oils. So that's why you want to naturally pair protein with a fat. You don't want to just give your body nothing but fats. You don't want to just eat nothing but avocados and olive oil all day, even though it's considered healthy. Because too much fat could be deleterious, just like too much protein can be deleterious, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to eat too much protein than too much fat. That's when food sequencing comes to play. There's studies that show that when you have protein 30 minutes before you choose to have that crazy carb or something a little bit fun, let's say a pretzel, let's say a donut, your postprandial glucose response, what I referred to earlier, it's not going to be as high opposed to when you just straight up have that donut first. So what you want to do is always have protein first. And my clients already know, that's why I tell them to prioritize protein, which means what? If I get this waffle, bacon and eggs, I'm gonna touch this bacon and eggs first before I touch this waffle. If I get a Chick-fil-A sandwich and some fries, instead of me driving home and eating some Chick-fil-A fries, or if you fat like me, I had some driving fries, which means I'm ordering another set of fries just to eat while I'm driving home, and then I can have my fries with my Chick-fil-A sandwich. Don't judge me, y'all. We all gotta fast. Then, now I'm spiking my glucose way higher than it has to be. So what I want you to do is eat a bite of that protein first, then touch the carb. Have 2 bites of protein to every carb, and your glucose level is not gonna go as high, opposed to if you did the opposite. So that's why one of the best tips I can give to you is never have naked carbs. You do not want just carbs straight up by itself. And when I'm talking about carbs, once again, I'm not just talking about fruits. I'm not talking about vegetables. I'm talking about comes in a bag or has a barcode on the back of it. Those are the carbs you want to stay away from or do not eat naked, okay? So always have dinner before dessert. Never have dessert as dinner. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So you want to keep inflammation down, and you also want to keep your glucose levels down. And we already know about inflammation. Systemic inflammation or chronic inflammation is the thing that causes a lot of problems in the human physiology. Acute or transient inflammation is not going to cause that much issues. But keep in mind, any type of inflammation is going to cause a somnogenic effect to it. Somnogenic, which means what? This is probably the time when you realize after you eat, you start to get a little bit tired, right? Or when you are sick, guess what? You have no energy, right? And you always sleepy. Why? Because when you're having an inflammatory response, your body's saying,
hey, let's stop thinking, let's start healing.
Right? Because we see some bacteria, possibly some lipopolysaccharides, or possibly some gram-negative bacteria based off your diet. You're eating a lot of processed foods that we don't recognize. So now we need to defend ourselves. So
hey, let's take all of our energy and our resources, let's focus on the thing that can ultimately kill us.
That's why when you think about it, when you're sick, you don't think as sharp. But majority of the bacteria and pathogens that we face is due to the foods that we put in our mouth. Because we're not putting in the right type of foods. We're not giving our body the right type of inputs. Just to give you an analogy, and I'm gonna let you go. We all know that our car needs gas. But we also know that our car needs oil. What we're doing on an average day, we're not putting the right type of oil in this car. We're not going to Jiffy Lube, right? We're not going to Midas. It's like we are waking up and saying, oh, my car needs oil. Let me get this vegetable oil from the kitchen and put it inside my car. What do you think is gonna happen? All oils are not created equal. Just like all foods are not created equal. Just like all carbs, it's not created equal. So you need to give your body the right type of inputs. That way this machinery that we live in is going to run more effectively for a long duration of time. But we got to take care of it. And the best way you got to take care of it is eat more of the things that it can possibly recognize, things that your mom or your grandma can recognize, not things that only our generation knows about. Even though it's healthy, and even though we see older people in the commercials, I'm pretty sure your grandmother cannot recognize honey bunches of oats. See what I'm saying? We need to fix your diet so you have less brain fog. Make sure you get some sleep because your brain cleans itself through a process called the glymphatic system, sweeping out all the bad proteins and all the buildup throughout the whole entire day. But your body can only do this if you do choose to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours and watch out for your stress. Why? When you are stressed out, gonna break down this muscle and turn it into sugar. And we already spoke about what too much sugar is gonna do to your body. But guess what? Your brain's a part of your body. Watch out for your stress levels. You're gonna realize the days that you're stressing, you're going to stress eat, especially if you're an emotional eater. And if this stress is making you emotionally eat, and because you're emotionally eating, you're staying up later during the day, eating some Papa John's, eating some ice cream, everything I just named is an ultra processed food, and now you're staying up till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock to go to sleep. Those are the days you probably realize you wake up, and you're not the sharpest. You don't have the most mental acuity. Just know it is a snowball effect. It all stems from what I decided to put in my mouth the previous day. Okay? So make sure you are choosing better quality foods, and now your body's gonna work better. But not only that, your brain's gonna work better. Okay? Hopefully y'all learned something today. These are the best tips that you can follow so you can have less brain fog. And by the way, you're not gonna get rid of it all the way. But hey, this is the best way to mitigate how many times it happens on an average day. And that's your reset tip of the day that's gonna help you stay snatched all the time. No, the summertime. Talk to you soon.